Our next presenter is head of MN Finance and has been working for Nokia since 1999, having a dual educational in electrical engineering and international finance. She has more than 20 years of experience in finance across different functions. Now she will give us a presentation, Embrace Change. Let's welcome Corinne. Corinne, over to you.
Thanks a lot for this nice introduction, and great to be with you. So my name is Corinne Laffitte-Vermeulen. I'm indeed the head of mobile network finance since January 2021, which has been a great change in my career that gives me the opportunity to think about it and to want to share with you some thoughts about the importance of change during one's career. But before I start, as a French woman, French engineer, talking to Polish ladies, expert in IT, I thought we had one inspiring woman in common. And of course, I wouldn't be able to start my presentation without mentioning how inspiring Marie Curie Skłodowska has been for me, and I hope she is for you. You know, she was saying that science is great and there is beauty in science, but she also said things which are, you know, coming from the heart with a big authenticity. Life is not easy for any of us, but what of that? We must have perseverance and above all confidence in ourselves. We must believe that we are gifted for something and that this thing must be attained. I'm pretty sure all of you are gifted in IT and you are, you know, having the confidence that you can make a great career. But career, in my view, assumes that we are not on a linear path. There is some changes that you will undertake, that I have taken during my 20 years of experience. And those changes always give me a lot of energy, a lot of renewal in the drive, in the passion I had for my job. But before that, it's important, before we talk about changes, we talk about evolution, to know the starting point and know who you are. And it's not probably easy, or at least it was not easy for me at the beginning, because I had so much interest when I was at school. I wouldn't have been able to choose between, you know, scientific or humanities. I enjoyed everything. But there was one thing I remember, which was very, very strong and has been a strong driver for me, which was going out for my small village in southwest of France and know the world, be open to new culture, new country, diversity. And this has been really kind of my motto or my desire among all the interest I had for the different topics. But for sure, deeply in me, I have a big interest for science. I have a big interest for innovation, and this is why I embraced the engineering career at the first. You might be surprised to see a chair here. And what is the link with all that? Years back, I did a session with a group of women leaders. And one of the exercises was, imagine you were an object, what this object will be. And I'm sharing, right away what I had thought at that time. This was probably 10 years ago. And still, you know, whenever I think about this question, I remember that chair. So why a chair? Because there is 4 pillars, right? One could be the symbol of work, professional career, the work, and with no order, right? The other one being the family. The other one will be the friendship, and the other one will being the involvement in the society. And I think, basically, I do believe that to be well-grounded, I have to develop those kind of 4 pillars equally. So this is an exercise that I would suggest that you do. If you were an object, what would it be? And definitely it will help to define your starting point before engaging in the change path. As a second path, or second step, I suggest that you understand the importance of developing your expertise. I mean, you're gifted, you're in the part of the IT community. Very little or few people can do the same. This is a chance, this is an asset, and you really need to develop your passion and your expertise to be the best at this. When I started my career, I started as in the engineering field, right? Rather than, and I will explain how I came to finance later on. But it was very a signal very important that I received from my coach or my line manager at the time. Be the best in something. Do what you like, but do what you are good at. And you know, I started to work in the energy industry, in the high voltage substations, etc. So after a first job in the quality management, I went into the project manager, then pre-sales, then sales, especially in the in Latin America. And basically, I was the one that could be sent everywhere to negotiate a consortium agreement. And this was my expertise. This was my brand, and I think this gives me also confidence to get to the next level. Next level on top of your expertise is what is called as business acumen, meaning you need to, at any time in your career, enlarge your horizon. Yes, technical skills are very important, but you need to understand what is the big picture. What is happening around me? What are the strategy? What is the strategy of my unit, of the company? What are the financials? What is the perception from the market on my company? Reading, you know, economical or press articles. This is also something that is referred by Suzanne Colantuano, and I would recommend you really to look on the TEDx she gave, saying that the career advice you probably didn't get, where she's making a reference of the missing 30%. So what are those missing 30%, 33% that we women usually have is the lack of this interest for the global picture, business acumen, when we are so deep in our level of expertise. So while I was, you know, doing sales of substation in Brazil, a lot of this was linked with finance structure, BOT, so build, operate, transfer. And I get more and more interested into that field. And it's what I would call as the continuous learning. So on top of my job, I was interested by what the others were doing, my peers, my colleagues. Whenever you work with project team, there is so much knowledge that is shared that is important, in my view, to try to understand what the others are doing. And working with structured finance team, I developed this interest into project financing and decided to stop basically the engineering and move to the finance world in the financing, so structured financing, vendor financing, and I moved from, I would say, operational unit to the headquarters. It was interesting because after 8-9 years of experience, where I had acquired a certain level of expertise, I decided to start from zero again. And really, I was a junior member of the team, eager to learn those new financing terminology, covenants, term sheets, representations, EBITDA, etc., etc. This was a whole new world that was, opening to me. And having this ability to really get into interest into what your colleagues are doing, I think it's something that help you to grow into your change or the change in your careers. Of course, then the change path in a career is intelligent, I would say, equilibrium between being in the comfort zone and going into the stretch zone. I love that specific diagram that I'm showing on the right, because here, for once, the stretch zone is green, signaling that this is the zone where you're giving the best of yourselves. You may have heard that usually women are not ready to take challenge whenever they are not covering more than 80% of the requirements of a specific job. I don't think this is true, and I don't think this should prevent you to aspire to do something else and to go to this stretch zone. So for me, moving out of the comfort zone was something that I had to deliberately decide, because if I remember this team where I stayed for more than 5 years doing project finance, this was so good. Team leader, colleagues, everything was excellent, right? And I got over the time this expertise. Again, after the engineering, this was the expertise in finance that was recognized by others. But so what, right? So what? What is there more for me in avoiding the risk to be in the routine? And it's when I decided to have a functional move within finance, because there are so much, different aspects also in finance, and to move into risk management back from headquarters into a unit. And at that time, this was the services, or what would be the equivalent of services business unit. From risk management, I had a chance to evolve in controlling, and then, evolve equally between country controlling, product controlling, or portfolio controlling over the years. But I always had that drive that change would give me this renewal of energy, even if at the beginning it could have been seen as taking some risk. And I think one ability, right, to take risk is, or to apply for a job, for a new challenge, is not to be afraid of failure. If you manage not to think about the what if I fail, what if I don't know, what if I disappoint people, you basically move away all the negativity that can be around you and really focus on what needs to be done and how you can develop yourselves. So when I talk about taking risk and changing, of course, over time it can be both to the functional dimension or the geographical dimension. And back to the first comment I was making, you wouldn't be surprised to hear that together with my husband, we had that basically vision that we would move in the world wherever there would be some opportunity. So I followed him in Venezuela, in Belgium, and I was lucky that he agreed to follow me in China with our three kids. Of course, this was a big responsibility for me to bring the family there. but the job was so rewarding that this is really something that both I and both the family would have loved to do. So of course, right, you see here also the panic zone. This is the red zone that along the change path we cannot enter into, and this is why it's so important to have free talk within the family, within the work colleagues, line manager, to avoid being in this frustration or red zone. Now, nothing is linear, right? And there is this concept of lifeline or life chart, where I would also encourage you to think over the different period of your life. What were those periods where you were super happy or less happy? And whenever you were less happy, what makes you basically recover and get to the next level? And whenever you scratch this, and by the way, this is an exercise that kids, sometimes do at school already, right? But when you do this at different period of your life, you see that change is not linear, right? It's not always up. Sometimes there is some discontinuity in the rhythm in the life. It can be related to family events. It can be related to the kids, to aged parents, whatever, or to health issues, whatever. But there is always a time where you have this ability to recover and get also energy on those elements when you recover. So for sure, for me being in now the MN and head of finance and looking at that line, I don't think that I am at the end of it, of course, but it gives me a lot of energy that I want to share. And of course, at any point of time, you need to remember who you are. This could have changed over times, but whenever you know what are your priorities and what are your non-negotiables, it's only when you are ready for the next step, the next change. And you see that we are entering as such in the virtual cycle. So with this ends my presentation. I hope I demystify the change, that I invite you to take some risk in your career, to embrace change. And you see that you are IT expert today, but life is so big, the horizon is so huge, that I'm sure that you can do whatever you want. So thanks a lot for your time.
Corinne, thank you for this great presentation. I'm sure you have inspired many of us today.